Hola a todos y bienvenidos. Hi everyone and welcome along. As you can see, this session is all about reflexive verbs in Spanish. So let's get started. What exactly can you remember then? What is a verb? A verb is a word that's used to describe an action, a state, or an occurrence. To describe what we and others do, we need to know how to form a verb. This is known as verb conjugation. And we've met this in our previous videos. We conjugate verbs in English. We just don't realise we do it sometimes if English is our mother tongue. On the screen, you can see the example of the verb dance in English. I dance, you dance, but he dances, she dances, we dance, you dance, and they dance. And you can see the spelling of that verb dance changes according to who's doing the actual dancing. This is verb conjugation in English. In our previous video, we introduced you to verb conjugation in Spanish. Let's take a brief recap and revisit. You may remember that we have three groups of verbs in Spanish. Verbs which end in AR in their infinitive, like the verb hablar, to talk. Verbs which end in ER, like the verb comer, to eat, and the group of verbs which end in IR in their infinitive, like the verb vivir, to live. When we conjugate our verbs, we always conjugate them in this order of pronouns. I, you, he, she, it, we, you, and they. Can you remember what we do next? That's right. Step number 1. We take off the last two letters of the verb in its infinitive, and then we add the following letters according to who, in this case, is doing the talking. I talk, you're talking, hablo. You talk, you're talking, hablas. He, she, it talks, he, she, it is talking, habla. We talk, we're talking, hablamos. You talk, you are talking, habláis. And they talk, they are talking, hablan. I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they. Hablo, hablas, habla, 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 hablamos, habláis, hablan. And our other two groups of verbs are conjugated in a similar manner, although the letters that we add on are slightly different. Can you remember what they are? Let's take over ER. And we have como, comes, come, come, come. Comemos, coméis, comen. And what about those IR verbs? Remember, drop off the IR. Vivo, vives, vive, 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 vivimos, vivís, and viven. You remember from class, I've been asking you to try to memorise these little spelling patterns, this conjugation pattern, as best as you possibly can. But what exactly do I mean then by reflexive verbs? And one of the simplest ways to get this into our head is actually to look at the verbs related with our daily routine. Me despierto. I wake up. Me despierto. Me levanto. I get up. Me levanto. Me lavo. I get washed. Me lavo. Me ducho. I have a shower. Me ducho. Desayuno. I eat my breakfast. Desayuno. So, did you spot the difference between those verbs? Me despierto, me levanto, me lavo, me ducho, but desayuno. Now, these verbs on the left-hand side are reflexive verbs. Reflexive verbs are actions which are done to yourself instead of to someone or to something else. In other words, the subject and the object of the verb are the same. If we think about the verb lavar, for example, to wash, we can wash other things. Lavo el coche, I wash the car, or lavo el perro, I wash the dog. But in our reflexive form, we have me lavo. And you can recognise these reflexive verbs with that little me in front of the verb in the first person, as you can see in all the examples on the left there. In the dictionary, the letters se, se, are stuck onto the end of the infinitive, and this tells you that it's a reflexive verb that you're working with. For example, lavarse, to wash oneself. In English, reflexive verbs often have the word get in front of them, or myself in the sentence somewhere. For example, me visto would be translated as I get dressed, or I get myself dressed, not dressing someone or something else. Now, to conjugate a reflexive verb, you actually need two things. Let's take a look at the verb lavarse, to wash oneself. The first thing that we do is we form the verb, we conjugate the verb just as normal. So ignore the se on the end of it. What group of verbs does lavarse belong to? That's right, it's an AR verb. So let's conjugate that AR verb as usual. Remove the AR, leaving us with LAV, our stem, lav. And follow the AR verb conjugation pattern as normal. Lavo, lavas, lava, lavamos, laváis, and lavan. So this on its own would mean I wash, you wash, he, she, it washes, we wash, yous wash, and they wash. But remember, we're working with a reflexive verb here. We're washing ourselves. So the other thing that you actually need to add on is what we call a reflexive pronoun. And we saw one of these already, me. Me lavo, I wash myself. Te lavas, you wash yourself. Se lava, he, she, it washes him, her, or itself. Nos lavamos, we wash ourselves. Os laváis, you wash yourself. And se again, se lavan, they wash themselves. So, to conjugate the reflexive verb, you need these two things together. Your reflexive pronoun, me, te, se, nos, os, se, and the verb, which, as you can see, we conjugate as normal. Me lavo, te lavas, se lava, nos lavamos, os laváis, and se lavan. Let's take another verb as an example here. This is the verb peinarse. Me peino. And this would mean I brush my hair. Te peinas, you brush your own hair. Se peina, he, she, or it brushes his or her hair. Nos peinamos, we brush our hair. Os peinais, you, plural, brush your hair. And se peinan, they brush their hair. Let's take one more. One we actually saw earlier on when we looked at our daily routine activities. Despertarse, meaning to wake ourselves up. Me despierto. Te despiertas. Se despierta. Nos despertamos. Os despertáis. And se despiertan. You might be looking at this little verb in the middle here and wondering what's going on with that change of the E to the IE in the first, second, third, and sixth part of the verb. This is a radical spell-changing verb. That would be how we would conjugate it normally. If you're wondering what on earth I'm talking about, have a look at our other video, Irregular Verbs in the Present Tense. So, now it's your turn. Let's take the verb ducharse. We need to form this verb in all its different people. I, you, he, she, it, we, you, and they. Remember, in each turn, we have two things to think about. Our reflexive pronoun, and then the verb itself, which we conjugate as normal. You might want to pause the video here. Okay, let's see how you got on. Did you do it correctly? Me ducho, te duchas, se ducha, nos duchamos, os ducháis, se duchan. I hope you got on well there. So let's now mix it up a little bit. I'm not going to ask you to conjugate entire verbs and all of the different 6 people. We're just going to try a couple out as we go along, and again feel free to pause the video in between each one and check how you get on. ¿Cuál es la forma correcta? What is the right form of the reflexive verb? He has a bath. He bathes himself. Se baña. To brush one's hair. Vosotros, you plural. Os peináis el pelo. Afeitarse, to shave oneself. My dad. Mi padre se afeita. Relajarse, to relax oneself, literally. What about los estudiantes? What would be the correct form? Se relajan, they relax. Y ahora, maquillarse, to put one's makeup on. Mi amiga y yo, my friend and I, nos maquillamos. Mirarse, mirarse en el espejo, to look at oneself in the mirror. This is a reflexive verb too. ¿Cuál es la forma correcta? Mis amigos. Mis amigos se miran. Mis amigos se miran en el espejo. Despertarse. Now we've seen this one before. Mis amigos y yo. Mis amigos y yo nos despertamos. Ducharse. Again, we've seen him. Sus hermanos, his brothers, se duchan. And levantarse. Let's get up. They, ellos, se levantan. So, a brief recap before the end of our video today. Reflexive verbs are verbs in which both the subject and the object are the same. For example, lavarse, to wash oneself. We need 2 things to conjugate a reflexive verb. The verb itself, which we conjugate as normal. And we need to remember our reflexive pronouns on the front. Me lavo, te lavas, se lava, nos lavamos, os laváis, and se lavan. Well, that brings us to the end of this instructional video from Speech Bubble Languages. I hope you found this helpful. Please do ask us in class if you have any questions or you'd like us to check any work that you've been doing in your own time. Muchísimas gracias y hasta la próxima a todos. Thank you, everyone. See you next time.